Welcome back. On to our book segment now. I Do, Don't I? Well, that's the much-anticipated sequel to the popular novel, That Thing with Zola. At the end of The Thing with Zola, well, Zola was proposed to by her boyfriend at the airport just before she took off on a life-changing journey. And in I Do, Don't I, she now goes back and forth between whether this is a commitment she's ready to make or not. So to unpack the book further for us this morning, we're joined by published author, ghostwriter and journalist Zibu Sithole. Zibu, a very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you again. Good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, you decided on the theme of romance, and this was after COVID-19, right? So this is a continuation of That Thing with Zola, right?
Yes.
Just take us through this book.
So we pick up after Zola goes to Rwanda to start working. Travel has always been her thing.
Yes.
So she is still living her dream, just under different circumstances, but with one twist. Again, she finds herself in a long-distance relationship.
Gosh.
She's leaving Mbali behind after all the drama of getting things together with him in the first place.
Right.
They've added another twist to their relationship, the distance. Will they be able to make it work with all the other complexities that their relationship already came with?
Yeah.
And then there's the question of marriage. I mean, every millennial thinks about it. Do you actually want to get married? When's the right time to get married? Who is the right person to marry? And Zola finds herself pressed to answer all those questions while everyone around her seems to be marriage crazy. It's wedding fever. Everybody's getting married, whether they should or shouldn't. And she's stuck questioning if this is the man, if this is the time. If she should at all ever get married.
And I wish that is a question that is answered by so many couples before they actually get married.
Unfortunately, many answered after.
Unfortunately. And I see this talks deeply about relatable romance. I mean, that's essentially what you write about. It's light, it's soft, and it's about ordinary people, right?
Yes, exactly. I want everybody to be able to see themselves in a happily ever after. I mean, in so many stories we read, we see, we watch in movies, we see people who start off just like us, falling in love, but their circumstances are always so extreme. They're extremely rich, they're extremely poor, but we never see ourselves as we are, as the ordinary South African. And I wanted every woman and every man, I guess, to see themselves in a love story that works out, that doesn't end in talking about the socio-political atmosphere that the romance is set in, and focuses on the everyday life. Because we do have our everyday challenges to our love stories, like mothers, fathers, your best friend that you can't ever get rid of. Those are the everyday challenges to romance, and I wanted us to explore that, to see ourselves in it, and believe that we too deserve this happily ever after, the soft love, this beautiful, fluffy thing.
What you just said, beautiful, fluffy thing, right? What you just said right now, I suppose, is in relation to the title of the book, I Do, Don't I?
Yes.
Very intriguing title, hey?
It is, because it's a question, and once you've gotten over I love you, you love me, what now?
What next?
Do we take this next step? Should we? Is there a point to it at all? If the relationship is good, does that necessarily mean the marriage will be good?
Because I suppose this is a time where we have to have these difficult conversations. Because let's be honest, some relationships are not worth taking a step further. You know, some people feel they're much happy where they are without taking the next step. Because it is a fact. And how did you develop the characters in the book?
So the characters are the same characters we got introduced to in The Thing with Zola. And in I Do, Don't I, we dive deeper into who they are and why they are. Characters like Mthunzi that people loved to hate. In The Thing with Zola, why is Mbali's best friend such a loser? In I Do, Don't I, we go into why exactly he became Mthunzi and why it is that Mbali can't get rid of him. We look at the parents of our characters because you are in many ways where you come from. You are who raised you. And their personalities, their dramas play into who you are, who you love, and how you love.
Right. Now, as we said earlier on, this is a development of that thing with Zola, right? So it's like a sequel to the first book. Do I have to read the first book for me to understand I Do, Don't I?
I mean, it would be nice, but you really don't have to. So the way the story is written, it's every chapter reads out like an episode. It's like catching a series midway.
Oh, okay.
It would be nice to have the context, but even if you don't, you can still catch
understand.
up.
Yeah,
You can.
yeah.
It is a standalone story that is part of a Zola verse.
Yeah. Let's talk about the unexpected turn of events. Don't give everything away, but just a hint.
A hint is there is a wedding, but there is no marriage.
Way.
There are lots of characters talking marriage, but only one wedding and no marriage.
Way.
So that's the big twist.
Wedding, but no marriage. I suppose
Yes.
what it just said needs a book, a separate book on its own.
Possibly. One wedding, no marriage.
Zibu, lovely chatting to you, eh? Thank you so much
Nice
for your
to
time.
talk to you
Beautiful
too.
book this is.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the author of I Do, Don't I, the sequel to the novel The Thing with Zola, Zibu Sithole, talking to us about her latest book offering.